Welcome to Pandora, kiddos. My last video on this wasn't really comprehensive, more of a tips and tricks. So in this video, I'm going to cover my process more in depth and try to make it more of a tutorial. I start by spraying on my base colors. I used to use spray paints for this, but lately I've been using brush-on acrylics thinned and put through my airbrush. The color selection is more extensive, the finish is nice and flat, and if I need to use a brush to touch anything up, I know the color will match exactly. But whatever paint you choose, try to find a flat or a matte finish because it's much easier to brush paints onto than a satin or a gloss finish. You'll want more than one shade of each color. For one, no colors in the game are solid, everything's got dirt or texture or streaks. And two, you're going to need them for highlighting and shading. For the main color, I like to have a hue that's a couple shades lighter and a hue that's a couple shades darker. If you can buy them off the shelf, that's great, but I'm just going to be adding white and black for mine. These black separating and detail lines are best when cut into the foam before sealing. But if you're not using EVA foam, or I forget to do it, you can do what I'm doing now, which is marking all the corners with a Sharpie, and these will get connected later. A flexible Taylor's tape measure is great for measuring around corners and curves and facets on your prop. Now, using the lighter shade of blue, I'm going to highlight all of the edges, corners, and high points on the prop. I'm also going to connect all those dots I just made and outline anything that's going to be a black feature later on. Next, the dark shade of blue is used to simulate shadows on undersides and undercuts and valleys. Once all the shading is done, it's time to start adding lines. I do this last because it's always easier to paint a dark color over a light color. I use the same acrylic paint as before, but I thin it just a little bit with water so that it doesn't clump on the end of my brush and I can keep a more consistent line width. I start with hard edges and corners using a small flat brush to make a thick, consistent line. This deep valley here also gets a thick, solid line. Next, I use a pointed brush to outline the borders between colors, as well as to draw in those detail lines that I connected the dots for earlier. Then I use a fine point brush to trace around the softer and more shallow edges with two thin, wispy lines that generally don't connect instead of one thick line. I use the same fine point brush to add these little accent lines around other features. There is something of an order of operations to my method, and if it gets out of order, you may end up having to thread the needle with a paintbrush like I'm doing here. Trust me, it's much easier to paint those little accent lines around the thicker feature line than the other way around. And the last things I paint are these little scratchy bits. As far as placement goes, I just follow reference pictures. I don't know how they decide where to put them. The final step is coating your prop with a few thin layers of a flat clear finish like this Krylon. Not only will this protect all of your hard work, but it also deepens the colors, which helps them contrast against each other and really makes it pop. One last tip, if you want a glossy look on your prop, I recommend painting on highlights and reflections rather than using a gloss clear coat, because the glare from the gloss will really wash out and detract from your paint job. I finished my last Hellfire with gloss, and you can see the comparison here. And that is how I paint my Borderlands props. There are a lot of other techniques out there, but if you like this one, please feel free to use it and drop a comment below. I want to see what you make. If you want to see what else I make, you can follow me on Instagram, that's @PandorasProps. And for high quality photos, you can find those on my Pandora's Props Facebook and DeviantArt pages. I'll have links to all of these in the description below. If you want to like and subscribe, I won't stop you. And until next time, keep on making.
Search safest sanctuary, dropping them dollars on you, thank you very much. By the way, no refunds, back into the boneyard, Badlands we run. I saw a siren singing, shifting through the shots, a ringing, frying, burning, guts a stinging, bringing you the pain. Come on down and join the party tonight.